Hi, this is Lucas Scanlon, founder and director of the Harvard University Tea Party at the Harvard Kennedy School. I'm at the site of the Liberty Tree, historically at the Liberty Tree, just outside Boston Commons at the corner of Washington and Essex Street. Over my left shoulder is a plaque commemorating the Liberty Tree that was originally there and the founding site of where the American Revolution actually really truly began, almost 10 years prior to the American Revolution proper. The Liberty Tree was just one of a few different Liberty trees around the Boston area. The Liberty Tree and each tree that there was used as a rallying point for the colonists to come together and discuss the need to protect their liberty. In 1765, the Stamp Act was passed by Britain. That Stamp Act effectively taxed every contract, letter, newspaper, anything that really required paper was now taxed and effectively was viewed by the colonists as a form of censorship. So the colonists resisted this act to the point that at this site they tarred and feathered the tax man, and unfortunately I believe he was actually hung in that Liberty Tree that stood where that building is behind me. So what we see is that the American colonists way back when were unfairly taxed without representation. We just had President Obama put people in office that were not elected by the common people, but where he's decided and determined what Senate being Senate being in recession, what that actually meant. He defined it for himself and installed someone as the Commerce, as a chair of a new committee that has significant power, i.e. we've put someone in office that was not elected or appointed by elected officials, but rather President Obama. So we're now seeing a trend at this time in history where a president is acting really beyond the scope of his authority, gathering power to himself, doing legislation without people actually being informed, coming to a consensus, and having a vote, either voting for their representatives who in turn vote for them or voting for that person directly. The Liberty Tree is really in the heart of every American. We all need to protect our liberties. They are so slipping away. At the Harvard Kennedy School, I'm a conservative. Many of my colleagues are very liberal, as we all well know. And so we talk about, well, what does taxation really look like? What is fair taxation? Many of my colleagues believe that it's just fine to take money away from people that have worked for it and give it to people that haven't. Well, I do believe that there's a need for a social net, but at what costs and who's paying for it? Those are really hard questions, and when you get down to brass tacks, it's hard to answer and come away with anything that looks remotely fair. We hear a lot of terms about what fair is and being fair to those that are less fortunate than somebody else. But is it really fair to tax someone that's worked hard to give it to somebody else? I don't really think so. However, for the good of a community, what is best? So, those are tough questions. Here at this site was a Liberty Tree that colonists, pre-American, where colonists rallied together to defend their liberty. We must defend our liberty. If we don't defend our liberty against bureaucrats, against agencies that devour budgets and retain their budgets and never give up on committee power, if we don't defend our liberty against simply government itself, then government will take that liberty away from us. We've already seen it so much. This is Lucas Scanlon with the Harvard University Tea Party signing off, wishing to all to remember what it meant to these colonists to be a protector of liberty, and that you would realize where your liberties are and what it means to fight for those yourself. Thank you.